What's up, Final fans? It's the Warrior of Hype, and in this video, I want to talk to you about the underwater exploration in Part 3 of Final Fantasy VII Remake's trilogy. Cloud will use his disguise to throw off the 7th, and he directs them to Larboard Junon. This is the crew that we will have on the submarine, because Larboard means left side, and this is when you're looking at the ocean, not when you're looking at Junon, but looking at the ocean. Left side is where the submarine parks, right, or it docks up. So there's that, and then on the right side, I guess that's port side, that's where you would have the Shinra 8. Once again, showing us that the 7th is going to be down there in Larboard, where he was, the stationed by Cloud. Cloud does his signature celebration, the twirl of the gun.
Yes, I love that
little military saber.
Or yeah. And then it has me thinking that, so if the 7th are watching their idol right now, they freaking love Cloud. They see him do this. They're going to start to obsess over Cloud's victory move here, and it makes me think when you are on the submarine. And the last group that you can either kill or you can take hostage, before you do that, they're like, man, I got regrets. I never got to do that super awesome victory move. They want to do the super victory, and like, so the captain is like, well, do it. And then they do it, and they're like, good, now you have no regrets. Let's fight. But like, so they do the move, and then but like, there's the 7th. Right? So maybe when they turn around and realize it's Cloud, there he is, our boy, and they help him out. And join the crew of the submarine, and possibly, most likely, the Highwind later. But we're not talking about the Highwind in this video. We'll save that one for another one. But you gotta admit that this is a much better way to steal the submarine, and it makes a whole lot more sense than just fiddling around with some buttons in OG. And that brings us to the submarine battle mechanics. Red Leader, Star Wars nod there, is carrying the huge materia, or what will be known as the Magnus materia, as it's referred to in Rebirth. And it's escorted by a bunch of Shinra subs. The ocean will be littered with mines, and in the original game, this minigame was certainly more of a surprise. Like, holy crap, I can't believe I'm doing this in this RPG that's this turn-based game. I'm freaking piloting a submarine now. This is insane. So, in Part 3 of Final Fantasy VII Remake's trilogy, oh boy, this is going to be epic. The aerial dogfight mechanics from the Highwind will translate into this underwater battles, but the underwater battles will be more tight corners as you're navigating this uneven terrain of the ocean floor, the mines that Shinra has set up that you have to kind of weave in and out of. It's going to give us this more claustrophobic feel. Now let's talk about the underwater locations that we can discover. Of course, we're going to have the sunken Gelnica that was in the original game, but how about this? The sunken Republic of Junon's capital city, a flotilla city that was sunk in the war. It now rests at the bottom of the sea along with its hidden treasures, as per this NPC in Under Junon. If that's not a teaser, I don't know what is. That sounds like a teaser to me, if I ever heard one. There's hidden treasures, and we're talking about it being sunken at the bottom of the ocean floor. This is a brand new location for Part 3. It would be so cool to see this, basically Atlantis, a city at the bottom of the ocean. Junon's underwater reactor. Now, we're not going to be able to take the submarine and explore that, but of course, it will be accessible from Junon through the underwater tunnel. And just imagine going through that underwater tunnel in Part 3, looking up and seeing that basically glass tunnel and, the aquatic life swimming above you. God, this is going to be so cool, man. But I'm excited to actually see this reactor fully realized at the bottom of the ocean floor when you're taking your submarine and just exploring. You're going to see, not just like in the original game where it was like just like this kind of cylinder, like boom, here's your reactor. but now you're going to actually see a fully realized reactor at the bottom of the floor. But also what I'm excited to see is how this underwater reactor has affected the ocean around it. It apparently in Rebirth, they keep mentioning how the ocean has lost its vibrancy. It's dark, it's nasty, it's ugly, which of course would have been a whole lot more impactful if it didn't look freaking beautiful and vibrant when you look out into the ocean in Rebirth. There's an NPC at the crow's nest that's like, look at the ocean, look at it, it's lost its vibrancy. And you're just like, you look at it and you're like, dude, I don't see it, man. That looks beautiful. That's a freaking postcard. But when you take the submarine and you start getting closer to that underwater reactor, I'm expecting to see pollution, muddy, nasty, green tinted water, maybe even some more mutated aquatic life surrounding it, because of the Mako leaking out. So yeah, look forward to that, because there might be more than just other submarines to shoot at. There's always a bigger fish, if you know what I mean. And of course you have the key to the ancients that you have to discover with the submarine as part of the main storyline. And as much as I want there to be completely missable locations in this game that are discovery based and not required, well, Lucretia's cave is going to be mandatory in part 3 because, well, Vincent is going to be mandatory party member. So that completely optional sequence of events that happens in the original game between Vincent and Lucretia, we get Vincent's backstory. We find out that Lucretia is Sephiroth's human mother. All of that was optional in the original game. It's going to happen in part 3. So Lucretia's cave, you can expect that. But talking about discovery-based only locations that are not on an MSQ, that are not side quest related, that including Republic of Junon's capital city that sunk that I talked about earlier. How about the Ever Crisis location, Radore Archipelago? Now, this entire location was swallowed up by a livestream torrent in Ever Crisis. Which means if there's caves, and yes, there are many cave dungeons in Radore and Ever Crisis, if it's swallowed up, it's forced underwater, those caves would have air pockets in them. That is how that works. This allows for underwater dungeons explored outside of the submarine. What's more, the concept of underwater dungeons is nothing new, as there was originally going to be one in Final Fantasy VII on the PS1, that's right! Thanks to Last Elixir Productions on YouTube, I learned that the scrapped Aqualung materia was a huge point of theory crafting in Japan after the OG released. Now this, of course, the theory crafting revolved around how do we bring back Aerith. How do we revive her at the bottom of the Forgotten Capital's lake? Because I'll say it again, and you better remember that I said it, that part 3 will be called Revival, to evoke the same emotions that players felt after Aerith died in the original game. They want you to feel what Cloud feels. Anyways, one of the original game developers said in an interview, quote, "At one point, there was going to be an underwater dungeon you swam to, and if you didn't have the Aqualung materia equipped, you'd drown and be unable to access it," end quote. So this idea was scrapped before the release of the original Final Fantasy VII and repurposed in the US version as the underwater materia to remove the 20-minute time limit when you're fighting Emerald Weapon. Remake is no stranger to including ideas that were scrapped and unable to make it in the original game, so I am more on the optimistic side of Part 3 having underwater dungeons, at least one. Whether that means you're going to need that Aqualung materia or a special materia to swim underwater to access it, which would require an entirely new game mechanic, swimming underwater, for Part 3, or, as I suggested, a massive air pocket in these caverns of Radore. Either way, you can expect these crocodile-like monsters known as Baylor in this area. Alright, let's talk about Emerald Weapon.
this game is going to be so epic. You guys are not as hype as I am right now. When you think about the scale, I think about God of War 3. I'm thinking about that massive scale to this game. The original game tried to bring that Hollywood blockbuster, especially in this act of the game, this final act. It is a Hollywood blockbuster, and that's what part 3 is going to be. The Emerald Weapon is massive. Massive. It's going to require a whole lot more. I'm thinking multi-stage battles, multi-phase, multiple party compositions of 3. Because you think about it, we now have 9 playable party members, which means we can have 3 parties of 3 that are going to be required to take down a massive kaiju like the weapons. Okay, now that I've got that point across of how cool this is going to be, think about Rebirth, right? This was a tease at the end, the final boss of Rebirth. Again, spoilers for Rebirth, but required multiple parties to take it down. So, how about one party is in the submarine, piloting the submarine, shooting it with torpedoes, navigating through Emerald Weapons attacks, and maybe it's shooting out mines and all that other stuff, and you have to, navigate through that, and you're just shooting that Emerald Weapon with torpedoes. You cut to a different party, and now you're on the ocean floor, whether that be with the underwater materia allowing you to swim and attack. Oh man, I'm just having some Kingdom Hearts, Ursula battle flashbacks, and I don't know if I like being underwater and attacking, but maybe you create an air pocket with this underwater materia, and then you're battling on the ocean floor, you're attacking Emerald Weapon. You have another party doing, I don't know what, maybe attacking it from the other side, whatever. Maybe they're on the submarine, maybe it's just 2 party compositions, but either way, holy crap, how epic is that? Just that in itself. And we're going to have those mid-battle cutscenes with Emerald Weapon doing some crazy stuff. I'm so hyped for that. What do you guys think about fighting the Emerald Weapon, one party in the submarine and on the ocean floor? It's on 2 fronts, maybe 3 fronts of battling this. God, it's so cool. I cut a lot out because I just kept rambling on, because I ramble when I get excited, and I cut that out. This is the end of the video. Leave a comment and let me know. Say, if all you have to do is all caps hype, HYPE, put some exclamatory marks, exclamation marks. The more exclamation marks you put on there, lets me know how hype you are. It's a ranking. The more exclamation marks I see, the more I know you're hype. The more hype I know you are. Take care now. Bye-bye then.